Welcome everybody to the LA Blender users group. My name's Stirling Goetz. We've been running this group for the last 11 years, and the group grows and shrinks, and usually what happens is it takes people a little while to get here. So we might get some people pouring in the door shortly after the meeting started. The idea of the group is just to get Blender fans and enthusiasts together and share the projects we're working on and talk about what's new and what news is going on. Our last meeting was January 3rd, I think, January 3rd or 4th. It's been a while. This is our agenda for the day. A quick kind of what's new with Blender, what's happened since our last meeting. And then we're going to jump into a presentation from Rob on generative AI and Blender. We're going to just take a break after that. And then Steve's got a presentation on the new V-Ray add-on for Blender and hopefully get a demo of that. And then it's just open to show and tell. So we really would love to hear what you're talking about, what you're working on with Blender. So any projects that are Blender centric. So yeah, we'd love to hear what you're working on, or if you have a trip report from the recent BCon or what have you, or a Blender tutorial or a book that you've read, we'd love to hear about it. Normally what people do is they either, if you have your laptops, you just log into the Microsoft Teams meeting and share your desktop. And that way you can do it from, or if you have a thumb drive, you can just come up, plug in, and we'll just take it from there. Has everybody here used Blender? We'll skip over this. I will just say before I leave the slide is the great thing about Blender is not that it's free, it's that the community is really awesome. This is part of that community, and we're thankful that you're giving back. A couple of resources I like to point out, just sites that are really useful. So obviously blender.org to get the software. Blender Nation is like the LA Times of Blender. If you go to blender.community, you'll find links to other groups and social sites, including ours. Blender Artists is like the forum for Blender where everybody talks and you show off your work and ask for tips and that kind of thing. Blender BuildBots, where you get advanced versions of Blender that are not yet released, or interesting forks with experimental features. And then the final three are just some tutorial sites you may like to know about. And so let's jump into it. As I mentioned, January 3rd, 4th was our last meeting. So this is really just what's happened since then, right? So we've had a Blender 5.1 release. We're actually, I think, at 5.1.1 or something now. So they've already done a bunch of patches. At any given time, we also have long-term service releases of Blender. So currently 4.5 and 4.2. I think 4.2 is good until about July, midsummer this year. And there's been a lot of really cool stuff in it. And we're going to jump into that in just a bit. You can see a couple of interesting features here that are added, which are pretty cool. There's also some films. Actually, if you follow some of the links here, there's a whole bunch of great articles on what's new. This film, Singularity, actually just finished, and they're doing, so the Blender studio is a part of the Blender organization that builds open movies. So they use Blender to make movies, and they call them open movies because they release all of the assets and the media and tutorials on how they did it. And so you can go download all of that stuff, which is really cool. All their characters all rigged and ready to go. Singularity just finished this week. They just finished rendering and compositing. And so it's in private preview right now. So they're hosting a bunch of little private previews for people that made it and friends and so forth. So I would expect this short film to hit the web within the next day or two. And they're always really good quality. And they'll be showing them off at graphics conferences and that sort of thing. Has anybody seen Singularity? Did they show it at the show? It was probably still getting finished, right? Really inspirational, though. With a Blender Cloud subscription, you can actually read all their production logs and hear about exactly how they did it all. But at any given point in time, there are thousands of Blender extensions that extend the software and make it do some really cool stuff. There is now an official Blender MCP. So previously, we've presented on Blender, using Blender and Model Context Protocol to drive Blender from artificial intelligence, LLMs. And that's kind of cool. We're in the primitive days of that, models understanding three-dimensional space, and you could do some interesting stuff there. It's definitely worth playing with. You need to point it at a LLM. Usually a bigger, more frontier LLM is going to do a better job than a free or local LLM. previously there were third-party tools developed to do this, and the Blender Labs have actually developed their own. I didn't get a chance to play with this actually before this presentation, but I'm definitely going to go home and mess around with it. Yeah, so that's Blender MCP. There's always a bunch of both paid and there's always a bunch of paid add-ons. Like this is an example of one, Botanique. They put together, this is trees and bushes and shrubs and stuff that you can add. They did a seasonal update to this since our last meeting. So there's some fancy new stuff there. There's an update to, they actually did a bunch of updates to extended reality in Blender. So if you didn't know, you can build something in 3D space and then put on a VR headset and walk through it. And they made a location scouting add-on. So if you're a short film maker, you can make a space in 3D and then walk through it, have a location scouting camera, which gives you different camera settable actions, and then you can find exactly where you want to shoot from. So it's like a nice three-dimensional VR walkthrough of location. Yeah, it's pretty slick. They also did make a whole bunch of updates to VR XR in general. Yeah, go check it out. So all of these are updates that they made just to the XR support in Blender. Steve, this is OpenXR support on Mac OS. Does your Apple Vision Pro support OpenXR or no? Does anybody use this feature? The location scouting feature? All right. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff, right? This Meshy is a Blender add-on that connects to a service that generates meshes. So you can, if you don't want to do the modeling yourself, you just connect Blender to this service and say, build me a model of this, and it'll generate it and insert it straight inside your scene. Of course, we had VCon Austin. Yeah, just finished. From everybody I've spoke to, they said it was fantastic. This is put on by Autotroph, who are the people behind CG Cookie, Blender Marketplace, and so on, Orange Turbine, all that sort of thing. So real Blender fans, Blender enthusiasts. Ticket sales have officially opened for the VCon in Amsterdam. This is the flagship conference, and if you haven't been, it's really fantastic. I'd totally recommend it. The venue's fantastic. All the content's amazing. So well worth the ticket price. So with that, I think I will.
Do you want to show that the video? The 5.1 video?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Here we go. I used to put together a demo of kind of what's new in 5.1, but lately the Blender Foundation has been doing very fast compilation videos of here's everything that's new, and they do it much better than I could. All right.
Blender 5.1 has just been officially released, and it includes some awesome new features, with most of the focus being on quality of life enhancements, stability, and polish, after the devs just finished up another round of Winter of Quality. I'm Jonathan Lampel from cgcookie.com, and in this video, we're going to talk all about it. First up, font filling for text objects is now significantly better, so the types of fonts you can use in 3D are no longer so limited. Filling in general is now up to 5 times faster, especially for n-gons with many sides. When it comes to snapping, you can now snap to the center of faces. You can now choose to correct the normals for flipped faces when applying an object's scale. When selecting edge loops, there's now a redo panel, and you can choose where that loop ends, such as at seams or sharp edges. When a loop is a boundary loop, you can control whether it passes through inner corners, outer corners, or n-gons. When the loop is a face loop or edge ring, you can even stop at material boundaries. While beveling, you can now hold down Control to snap to even increments and use Shift for more precision. You can now reliably use the Redo panel to adjust vertex slides. Undo in Edit mode is now 20 to 30% faster. The exact Boolean solver can be up to 35% faster for meshes with lots of attributes, and the manifold solver is slightly faster as well. For reference, this object is almost 500,000 triangles. Curve fitting is now more accurate, which gives better results when drawing freehand Bezier curves. The curves also now have more stats in the statistics overlay. The lasso, box, and circle selection tools were added to the curves sculpt mode. In the UV editor, you can now select everything inside of any given UDIM tile, and there's a new edge opacity slider to match the face opacity slider. In mesh sculpting mode, strips of faces are better handled when masking and smoothing. You can now toggle to the mask brush by Alt-left clicking, or toggle to mask erasing with Control-Alt-left click. You can now cancel a stroke while painting by hitting Escape. The asset shelf icons can now go as small as 24 pixels. A blur brush for colors was added to sculpt mode. You can now add sampled colors to the palette while sculpting with Shift-X and left click. Sampling colors in vertex paint mode now reads the attribute color directly rather than the viewport color that might have a view transform. And color sampling in any mode now supports dragging to get an average of the colors you draw over for easy blending. Changing things like selection and which texture is active in texture paint mode can now be undone with Ctrl-Z. When modifying face sets or masks, the overlay for it will be turned on if it isn't already so that you always see what you're doing. The Save Modified Images checkbox when closing files with unsaved texture changes is now always on by default. In weight paint mode, you can now select loops when using vertex selection. In the dope sheet, interpolation line colors now indicate the interpolation type. This is also true in menus. The timeline now looks much nicer when you have subframes enabled, and the marker region is a little thinner. A new replace action operator swaps out an action for all objects that share the same action. The graph editor now has a nice smooth modifier for non-destructive smoothing, though it needs to be first in the modifier stack. A new apply to basis operator for shape keys can apply the deformations of a selected key and then remove it, all in one step. And last but certainly not least, the performance of actions and shape keys is significantly faster. Depending on the file, you can get anywhere from 4% to 304% improvement in frames per second. Blender's 2D animation tool got a pretty big upgrade in that it can now finally support holes and shapes. This means you can import SVGs and PDFs without any weirdness. The fill tool just works, and you don't have to use holdout materials as a workaround. As part of this overhaul, whether lines are fills or strokes is now an attribute of the line itself rather than a material property. You can choose between fills and strokes while drawing new lines, choose which to remove when deleting, set the type with an operator, join multiple strokes into the same fill or separate them out, and select everything that makes up the fill. Performance while drawing very long strokes has improved, and the ability to make a lattice object a parent during a lattice deform was added back in. In geometry nodes, a new bone info node allows you to get the transform data of any bone in an armature. Combine this with the attribute constraint from the last release, and you can now both rig your nodes and node your rigs. There are 6 new grid nodes for creating and manipulating volumes. You can use them to create volume grids from scratch, expand or contract the number of cells, find averages, and convert the cells into points. These are going to be great specifically for simulations. The font and various menu inputs for the string to curves node are now sockets and can be used as group inputs. There's also a new handy output for the word index. There are new get and store bundle item nodes for extracting just one socket from a bundle, so you don't have to separate and combine the entire bundle just to use one property. You can even use slashes to access properties in nested bundles. The UV unwrap node now supports minimum stretch unwrapping and the no flip option. The pack UV islands node can now pack into a custom region. Control F can now be used to search for warnings. A new matrix SBD node can be used for singular value decomposition of 3x3 matrices. This may not sound thrilling, but one of the main use cases for this is finding the minimum bounding box and its orientation for any set of components, which is going to be extremely helpful in all sorts of things. And if you're making your own node tools, each one now has its own registered operator, which makes it easy to call with Python or assign hotkeys to. There's a new shader in Blender 5.1 for raycasting. This one is pretty incredible because it allows for so many effects, from faking custom subsurface scattering, creating NPR outlines, creating fake shadows, and blending objects together. Just know that when you're using Eevee, the ray is in screen space, while in Cycles, it's in world space. Normal map nodes can now be switched to reading the DirectX format. Eevee got new sliders for adjusting the intensity of direct and indirect light. Eevee reflection planes now support glossy materials again. The shader to RGB node now works with transparency again. The maximum number of AOVs, the arbitrary output variables for compositing, was bumped to 128. Also, the AOV list in the properties editor now shows the socket color it has in the compositor. The light path node now works in world shaders. HDR environments can now be locked in the material preview mode to act more like matte caps, like they could in older Blender versions. Initial material compilation in Eevee is now significantly faster thanks to pre-processing and some parallelization, and in some cases, this cuts the wait time in half. Eevee also saves memory via texture pooling now, which really helps reduce the amount of VRAM needed for a scene. So now you can render bigger scenes on your same graphics card. It's awesome to see optimizations like this, and really the whole 5.1 release for Eevee has been all about directly addressing community feedback, which is very cool to see. For cycles, GPU performance has improved 5 to 10% for a lot of scenes, and HIP RT ray tracing is now enabled by default on AMD GPUs. When previewing with cycles, viewport navigation now syncs up a bit better with the overlays. And use nodes was removed for light objects, and they just always use nodes now. In the video sequence editor, you can now click and drag with the blade tool to quickly ripple cut sections. You can also hold shift to keep the gaps and not ripple. The speed control strip can now use negative multiply values to reverse footage. A new clock icon is shown on strips that have been retimed, and you can now hide the retiming keys. The time property panel was also cleaned up, and the property names now make much more sense. Shift S, which snaps the selection to the playhead, now keeps the strips offset by default when you have multiple strips selected. Holding Control when scaling or rotating in the preview area now snaps to even increments. Sound strips have new modifiers for non-destructively editing the pitch and echo. Meta strips, the strips that contain other strips, now have a master volume setting. Soloing strips using the right-click select key map is now shift-left-click, so scrubbing with left mouse drag is a bit easier. For left-click select users like me though, soloing is still shift-right-click. A new sequencer strip info node in the compositor allows you to make some great procedural effects that work on any strip out of the box. Having those frame numbers now is a huge power unlock. You can also create new sequencer modifier node trees directly from the compositor. And speaking of compositing, the default workspace now uses an image editor at the top and has the node backdrop disabled. A new mask to SDF node was introduced, which lets you turn black and white masks into gradients and find the nearest pixel inside the mask, both of which are extremely powerful. The index, switch, radial tiling, Boolean input, integer input, and vector input nodes were all added to match the shader and geometry node editors. The mix node now mixes the alpha channel when mixing the colors, and this is also true in all the other node editors as well. The relative to pixel node now works with image and mask inputs and not just single values, which makes it easy to do variable blur effects. The movie distortion node, which adds or cancels out lens distortion based on the lens set in the movie clip editor, has modes which now better cancel each other out and make the effect more reversible. Plus, the nuke lens distortion model now supports anamorphic lenses. The image and file output nodes can now write custom metadata. The file output node regained the ability to use slashes in file names to write to subfolders. The humble group input node was optimized and can sometimes improve the animation performance of an effect by about 30%. The glare, directional blur, lens distortion, anti-alias, blur, and vector blur nodes were all sped up too, between 20% and 100% faster depending on the effect. The infinite grid in the 3D view got a cleanup. It now draws 85% faster, Z-fighting with other overlays has been solved, low alpha values look better, and you can now separately theme the major grid lines. There are new performance stats available in the text overlays. The status numbers in the header during operations no longer jump around as much and show more numbers when you're holding shift for precision mode. Quad view can now be resized by dragging the center point, and it no longer shows duplicate overlays and widgets. You can now search in the Add Workspace menu. Editor size snapping while holding Control is a bit nicer now, as is resizing editors overall. In the outliner, the number of items is now shown when dragging and dropping objects. The remap users command in the outliner now has a nice search menu, and these object data block menus now show the object type icon. The hex code input in the color picker now supports autocomplete, so you can just type in a couple characters and it will fill out the rest for you. You can now use hover, copy, and paste to rename things in nested lists. The Preferences editor now has a search box, so you can quickly find settings and key map items. 3D mouse navigation has a new drone mode that won't change altitude at the same time as moving forwards or backwards. You can now update all of your extensions with one click, and extensions that have updates now show the current and pending version number. You can now finally copy and paste nodes between different instances of Blender, and when possible, this also works between different node editor types. So if you have math nodes or textures in geometry nodes, you can easily copy them into shaders or the compositor or vice versa. The swap node command, Shift-S, allows swapping between similar zones while keeping the sockets, does the same for bundle nodes, and it can now maintain object references. Node headers can now be made semi-transparent if you want. The node group interface list now supports selecting multiple items for dragging and dropping or deleting. Float sockets can now have the mass subtype. The node panel was cleaned up a bit, and you can now use it to toggle muting and hiding options. Node groups with a period before their name are now hidden in search results and the add menu by default, but you can turn that off in preferences if you want to. On Linux, you can now open Blender without using window decorations using -no window frame. As usual, the UI got a ton of little polish improvements, so I just talked about the bigger ones here, but there were over 90 changes that didn't even include the bug fixes. So Blender 5.1 is looking better than ever. Asset libraries can now be individually disabled in preferences. The asset browser now uses fuzzy searching, so you can misspell things and still find what you're looking for. On Mac, the file browser now supports iCloud Drive. On Windows, user fonts are now shown alongside the system fonts, and drives can now use different icons. Deleting linked data now supports redo and not just undo. A new image file format, AVIF, is now supported. It fully handles HDR data, has better compression than a PNG, and is already widely supported by most web browsers and image apps. OpenEXR files can now use a new lossless encoding option called HTJ2K, High Throughput JPEG 2000. It's great compression, but not yet widely supported by all of their software. Saving JPEG 2000s themselves is now multi-threaded. Video encoding can now use a custom quality level, and the audio bitrate can now be set up to 2048 kilobytes a second, depending on the codec, whereas it used to be limited to 348. USD importing and exporting now supports the USD UI Accessibility API and transparency and translucency for the USD preview surface. The exporter now writes indexed UVs that don't separate each face into different islands when importing into certain other apps, and there's a new Get Prim Map API option for mapping between Blender objects and USD prims. The FBX exporter now exports shape key normals, which is great for importing objects with shape keys into Unity and Godot. GLTF got 4 nice fixes. And that, along with hundreds of bug fixes, is what's new in Blender 5.1. You can download it today from blender.org, and don't forget to support the development fund while you're there to help make future updates even better. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, happy blending.
Awesome. Any of those features get you guys really excited? Which ones are you thinking you're gonna use the first? Awesome. Yeah, it all looks really good. I love hearing speed increases just about anywhere. That is that. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna hand things over to Rob. So introduce yourself, what you do with Blender, and then what topic you're gonna talk to.
So, hi, my name is Robert Cosby. About a year ago, I did a presentation on Microsoft for AI generative model for creating 3D models and such. Since then, there's a whole nother version that just came out. And lately, I've been playing around with it. There was a new one to use a pretty beefy computer with an NVIDIA GPU and such, with video RAM, which is becoming scarce these days. Just this last week, I came across this Trellis for Apple Silicon. And somebody actually gone through and ripped out all the CUDA stuff in Trellis 2 and putting some slower stuff, but it's stuff to actually get things to actually run on an Apple, on an M series MacBook or M series Macintosh. And what I got going on here, I managed to get it running on my MacBook, but on top of that, I also got it running within Blender. So I'm actually able to integrate the model more with Blender. So with Blender, I'm able to actually, so I kept the model running here. It's probably gonna take about 5 minutes. So basically what I do is directly import the mesh data directly into Blender. It's Python script for right now. Actually, could be something I could package into an add-on. Now I have it actually running on this Blender program right now. It's going through the process of running the model and such. So it's using a series of different models to first do some image processing on the image that you're inputting and running the main model for creating the actual sparse point field. And then there's a bunch of other mesh used to upload a Blender. Definitely with textures. With the first version of Trellis, it would bake in all the shadows and stuff, which is not very handy if you're trying to create a model for it to be lit and stuff. So shadows in the lower part, sometimes it'd be so dark, it would just be black and you can't see like details. So this is the image I'm using to create this model right now.
It's all being run locally.
Yeah, it's being run on this laptop right now on the battery. No, this is all running locally on this laptop. Yeah, it's a series of models that Trellis uses to create everything. Blender. Yes, I'm running it natively on Blender. Yes. So yeah, this is the, yeah, it's running. I'm actually at the, so Blender has its own internal Python interpreter or a Python installation. And what you can do is you actually install other things like Torch and anything else you want to install and run those within the Python interpreter inside Blender. Yeah.
Installing the Python module.
Yeah. So if I go to Shane here, I can actually show you. Yeah. I'll give you a. So it's actually a pretty decent job here. It is actually a pretty dense model. I could try to.
This was created from a description.
This was just created just from that picture.
Yeah, you gave it a 2D picture.
Yeah. So all it does is with this particular with a pipeline, you just feed it a 2D picture like 1024 by 1024, and it tries to create a 3D model out of that picture. It does. There is an additional model that you have to load in from Facebook Meta that does a lot of feature stuff, that looks for features and such. I'm not exactly sure. I have to look in to see what's actually doing in the. Yeah, but it's 3 step before actually building the model out with the Trellis models. And yeah, so it's,
Looks like a dense mesh.
yeah, it is a pretty dense mesh.
You really drill into it.
Yeah, it's,
Well, or is it all over the place?
yeah, it's actually pretty. Anyways, I had a. I could probably show it just. Yeah, I could definitely decimate it, but there's a bulldozer in here. So I actually had I'm playing around with geometry nodes on this. Turn that on.
You think geometry knows stupid.
So yeah, so something I'm planning to do later on is to be able to get the raw data from the pipeline and then do all the decimation and texture handling or texture mapping and such in Blender right after the models run. And which is really cool because it all runs locally on Blender. 32 gigabytes.
Yeah.
So I think that the author of this tweak of tutorial said that they could run it up down to about 24 gigabytes on Apple Silicon.
Which one?
This is an M2. So it should work on any M processor. I imagine it probably even work on the M1 as well, which I have here at
You
home.
plan to put this up on GitHub or
Yeah, eventually.
at some point?
So anyway, here I just got this pulled out, I'll mesh the points here, and you can see actually pretty well. Anyway, I don't know if you guys can see there. Anyway, but the only problem with this is if I turn this off, sometimes the points to mesh thing they're using is not quite that great, so you get a lot of holes and stuff like this here. But it's something you could probably process later on at Blender to remesh this into something much more usable. That's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys. So.
That is nifty. All right, we're about 40 minutes into the meeting. Usually about now when we do this after about 2 presentations, we just take a quick break. But before we do, I thought we'd do just a quick round of introductions so we all know who we are. What we like to do is really quickly, just like 60 seconds or less, who you are, what you do, and what do you use Blender for. And I'll start in the back row. If yeah, sorry.
Basically, a software development kit that's
engine. So the image and application you can make, you can program websites, program games on your website, you can make servers, you can make the website for your server. You can
okay, without going too much. Actually, yeah, we can go more into it, but we have a few different projects that we're working on now. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
specifically AI now. And I want to ask you, can you screen the model so you get less gigabytes? Like, yeah, 8 gigabytes of RAM, you can enable streaming.
I don't know. I think that it takes hardly than 24 gigabytes really web controllers. Yeah, obviously, but
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
What's the URL?
After if we can.
You have a website?
Leenkx.
Leenkx.
There's a GitHub.
Leenkx. Nice. Links Network. That's you guys. Awesome. I recognize your logo. Yeah, I've seen you at the Blender. Seen you at the Blender conference. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So we're normally a 3-hour meeting. This week we're a 2-hour meeting. So we'll see if we can get to you. We would love to see it. But yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. Over there. Awesome.
Jones, I have a cartoony NPR animation I'm working on.
Cool.
Hey folks, my name is Satish. I'm a long-time general user and I work as a technical director at Examining Institutes. So I support Stirling, art, and sometimes spaces using Blender and space.
Cool.
I'm Brandon. I am an interaction designer. About to finish my bachelor's degree this semester, and I've been using Blender for product design projects. And for my capstone, I'm working on a Blender
To do.
It's a method. It's trying to create demo files as you create a model, and you have steps that you segment, and you get to showcase it on a website.
Mhm.
People get to see the different steps you took to get to the final spot.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Passion project of mine for documenting your work instead of this being in a video format where it's like a time lapse. Here are the notes that the creative for anyone that wants to follow along.
Oh, that sounds super awesome, man. Can't wait to see it. Steve?
Steve Talkowski. I'm a creative director of my company called Set Properties. For Blue Sky Animator and instructor. Right now I'm developing for Apple Vision Pro and ManyQuest, and I'm using Blender. It's a lot of my fellow developers. They don't really see me, so I don't mind that first and foremost. I've been using Blender here and there. They may like the rendering side, but I'm trying to help them get Blender aspects into the Pro. So I'm really showing all the USD updates that Blender is doing.
Awesome.
Yeah, my name's Roberto. I am a nomad and jumped around states, working for just random artists and using Blender as my main tool for the past 6 to 8 years. I lost track.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. Show my stuff. So one enthusiast been using Blender for all kinds of things, claiming you can use a lot of AI stuff. So
Very cool. All right. Thanks, Rob. And y'all know me, Sterling Goetz. I'm a Blender enthusiast rather than professional. Just use it as a creative hobby output. Otherwise, I do cybersecurity by day. But awesome. Thanks, everybody. We're going to take a short break. So it's currently 1:53. Why don't we come back at about 5 past? So 2:05, just to give people enough time. The bathrooms are just out to the right. There's a water fountain out there as well. And yeah, we'll see you guys in at 2:05. All right. Cheers. I encourage you to talk to people around you about what they do. We always get really interesting people in here.
My name is Steve Talkowski. I literally just downloaded this on Thursday night, so my presentation will be really short. So I just saw that V-Ray had become available. It's only for 5.0 right now. I had been using Octane Blender as well, giving it a try. I just want to see what V-Ray had. I had used this one time when I did some animation for an Apple keynote a couple years ago, and they were using V-Ray. So I wanted to see how it was performing in Blender. So I just downloaded it, and I can just swap over to Blender, I think. I might need hey, Sterling, I think I might need to stop this slide.
Oh,
Can I set end show? Okay, yeah, because I can't, there we go. Let me just- Wait, it's not ending the show. No. There we go. Okay, hold on. Now let me go over to Blender.
But you definitely want to share desktop. So you go, yeah.
Yeah, hold
The
on.
big floating thing on the right. Yeah, that.
Yeah,
Go down to the square with the arrow. Yep.
here we go.
And make sure you share sound if you're going to do sound.
I just need to get Blender up and running. Why is my Blender not running? Should be right here. There we go. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to test and see how easy it was to get, for example, these were USD models that I had made. So these were generated in Maya, Texture and Substance Painter, and then you can export USD from Substance. And so I always use this as a test bed. and brought them in. And the cool thing was I didn't have to do any material conversion. They just worked with V-Ray, which I was really excited to see. So this first test render here was just seeing how the V-Ray sun and sky lighting model worked. And it was pretty easy to set up. And can also, I was goofing around with, there's a tune shader as well, which is also something I wanted to play around with. So there's a couple different in the shader here. You can grab, you go to like to the, there's a world node. I think this is where I had, here's some of the nodes that you can connect up to. So for example, if I added in a tune shader, and let me see if I even remember how to do this. Grab this here. Yeah, it's, and I would say it was a lot quicker to get up and running than Octane. Yeah, Octane's a little bit, can be a little convoluted. I'm not going to waste time because I have to rewatch a tutorial because I can't remember all the nodes. There's 2 nodes to set up. But what I do want to show is that I'm going to go, there's one other scene that I had done. I just want to show this one, which was done without the sun and sky. I just wanted to try the regular V-Ray area lights and whatnot. And this is also interesting. I've been noticing Blender like hiccups a little bit when you try to open up a new scene.
How big is it?
They're not that big at all. Hold on here. I may have to force quit. Let's try this one more time. Oh, there you go. Let me see. So this one was, there we go. All right. So this was just another test scene I wanted to set up to see how it was working with this. They're basic. So you can set up a Blender, a V-Ray camera, physical camera, and I wanted to use all the specific V-Ray stuff. So you have to run the server. So when you install the V-Ray, the server that runs, and then you can come up here and you can pick it. It knows that's the setup in the output in the renderer. So you pick V-Ray, and then I can go here to basically get in the editor. But then if you actually click on this button, you have like interactive render as well. So you can go through it. One of the things I had not noticed that in the previous of using V-Ray was that you have these filters that you can apply. So you can basically kind of double click on here and you get access to these. You can edit your curves. So you can go through and you can actually create newer offsets and presets. So I can kind of go through here and change up interactively. And you can save these as options you want to use. But I had literally, I've been playing with this for not even probably like 3 hours since I got it on Thursday night. So just want to show that it's out there. It's free to use. You just have to have an account. And then I think you get a free 90-day and then you just renew it. So I thought I would just try it out before I decided if I wanted to maybe get a license to use it. And also the limit is you can only do 2K right now. So if you do like a 1080p, you're fine to do something simple and then you can upscale it. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm running on my MacBook Pro is a M3 Max, so it runs pretty fast. And I just want to compare it to see how it was performing with Cycles and Octane. So that was just a really quick demo. Not really even a demo, just because like it's out there. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Before you walk away,
Yeah.
if we shut the laptop, will it keep running?
It should.
Okay. If there's a
think.
setting.
Do you need to change this back to the meeting? Go to yours.
Yeah, Satish, so you're up. If you want to come up here with your laptop, we can do it that way. All right, let's stop sharing. And then I'm going to close this and hopefully it doesn't turn. That's all right. And I got to make you full screen once you share.
That's my bit, yeah.
The eye of Sauron.
That's my brain.
He does look a little menacing, that eye, doesn't it?
I don't need to be okay because I capture
Only if you're playing videos or something that's going to generate audio. Okay. Yeah, no, the microphone's on here. So, yeah, share desktop.
So I did a design.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and go hold desktop. It's the best way to do it.
Screen.
Screen. Okay.
Awesome.
Let me make you full screen here. So view, focus on content, and then close this. All right. It's all you, buddy. It needs to be open for the mic to work. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's see if we can just like, yeah, maybe.
I don't
You
want
don't want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I'll just scoot it to the side then. Let's see if we can put you there.
no, this is good.
That's true. Here. Yeah. And if you need to, you could put it there also.
No, I think this works. Cool. So let me walk you through what features of Blender I introduced in my first hour of Blender. Okay, for the most part. So these are some of the extensions that ship with Blender. I use almost all the time. Camera viewer for aligning objects and renaming, keeping your scene clean from the beginning is important. So format rename is a really nice tool to do that. And Soy Tools is new to me. It's a great tool to go with grease pencil workflows. So I'm still just getting to using it. Yeah, asset libraries. So I love asset libraries. So these are the two asset libraries that I always use. So one is the asset bundle of human-based meshes from Blender Studio. You can download it. It has a CC0 license. And the base mesh library also has a CC0 license. So I think as of now, you have around 1,260 models to scale with UVs, clean models with UVs. So they are great for 3D kit bashing. Highly recommend these. So I support the artists on Patreon. So I have access to like an online drive. So I download from there and then I set it up inside Blender. So yeah, so this is the human-based mesh library. You have a variety of base meshes for sculpting and for posing and stuff. So you can run Rigify on these and have a quick mesh, quick rig. Yeah, and this is how the base mesh library looks like. Just drag and drop stuff into it, into the viewport. And okay, my other favorite tool in Blender is the quick favorites. So if you right click on any menu item in Blender, you can add that action in a handy place. And you press the Q key to invoke the quick favorites menu. Yeah, all my most often used actions are accessible in one place. I cannot live without this. And then I also use the add cube. You have this tool in the toolbox towards the end. You can basically sketch cubes and cylinders and spheres with the uniform scaling or non-uniform scaling. So this is a very useful tool to block things out, especially for artists who are new to 3D and you don't want to spend time learning modeling just to block this simple scene out. So this tool is very powerful actually to do that. And yeah, I basically use these tools to quickly block things out and also use the assets from the asset library. So that's my first hour or first 2 hours of training. You get to build stuff. By the end of the session, you have medium complexity 3D scene. And recently, after the lightning talk last week, I spent some time going through the extensions platform and I found some more very useful tools. Okay, they ship with Blender, right? You just go to the extensions tab in preferences, you can enable them. So Cam Tools, Cam Tools is a tool to create cameras. It looks like this. You can create cameras and then you can add cameras to different collection groups. So you can organize your cameras and then you can switch to the different cameras. So this is very nice actually. And then yeah, script launcher, Bagapie. Bagapie is great for set dressing with the proxy generation and only with camera culling. So if you're building large scenes and you want to manage complexity, I highly recommend Bagapie. Yeah, and so on and so forth. Your bool tool is great for adding booleans just by sketching on an existing model. It generates the modifier stack for you with the right boolean operations. So it's I think the extensions platform and Blender in general gives us a way to build your own workflow. So this is how I've been building my workflow. And finally, yeah, Blender conference. So that was my lightning talk at the Blender conference. And I'll quickly show you some pictures from Beacon. So we have a Beacon community on Discord. So if you're not part of it, maybe we can make it available. Yeah, so these are some of the photos I took.
Worldwide Beacon.
I'm sorry? Yeah. Yeah, this is worldwide. You have local meetups in UK, in Seattle, and Amsterdam. So it's all here. Cool. Yeah, I had a nice ride from LA to Austin. It was nice and beautiful. I took this photo. And then, yeah, my first time in Texas and Austin, obviously. So a lot of music. Yeah, this talk was one of the highlights from the conference. He's a story artist who's 3D story artist who's using grease pencil and Blender very effectively for television episodic work. He had a talk and also a breakout room demo. He also has an add-on to streamline storyboarding. So I bought it after this. So I would recommend you check out his talk. I think it's available on YouTube right now. And then, yeah, so it's basically storyboarding on Star Wars episodic series using Blender. A really nice talk. And this is another breakout room session. The speaker basically, in a span of 1 hour, took story ideas from the audience and spatially built out a world. And then how do you tell a story using this way? So this was interesting. Yeah, BBCon had a main stage, and then we had breakout rooms. So we had 3 areas, and then everything was being what you call live telecast onto like a music stage outside. So it was a nice setup. And this was another nice breakout room talk. Shasha, he's based in Vancouver. He's a cabinet maker and a house builder. Okay. So he was talking about how form is one thing, but function, designing cabinets is very, you need to use precision modeling when you are pre-visualizing the cabinet. So he walked through his process of how he approaches this. So I hope this breakout talk was recorded. I think everybody should, yeah.
You got already in this session online?
I think breakout rooms, you had to organize your own recording. So I think we may see some of these online. Yeah, more. Yeah, this was the central area where we were eating lunch and also catching a talk if you cannot make it into one of those rooms. So it's actually a nice, cool venue. Yeah, donuts. Yeah. And then we had a nice, after day 1, we had a nice party on the roof of this. Yeah, that's downtown Austin. And then one of the Matthew, he's like an illustration. And this was the lightning talk stage. It was, had 5 minutes to go through. And this is a panel on AI, the impact of AI and pros and cons of AI. So this was very interesting. Andrew Price, Colin Levy, and then Oscar addressing this from multiple viewpoints. And then Will's talk, how he's using Blender in aerospace. It was really awesome. And yeah, finally, yeah, there's more of it. And then on the last day, we had a nice hangout at a bar nearby. That's Francesco. And then on Wednesday, some of us just walked around Austin. We went to the Capitol building in Austin. It was beautiful. Yeah. That's about it. And then finally, just how much time do you have?
We're flexible.
Okay. Maybe 4 more minutes. Okay. So what's your camera? So this app is awesome. Used to be awesome. Now it's even more awesome. So just yesterday, the version 2 of this app has been released. The previous version only worked in Maya and Blender, but right now there's support for Houdini, Cinema 4D, and more apps coming. Yeah. So I just downloaded this yesterday. I had to pay a new price again because it's a significant change. The developer based in Spain spent three years making this change. So it's $20. So I bought it. And the reason I'm showing this is we actually used this on Previz on this movie I worked on. So for Previz, we use this within Maya. Okay. Using an iPad as a camera, you can quickly do location scouting. You can find shots. So it's a really nice tool. So yeah, we use this app on this show. So this is 2021, 2023. So during that time, me and the previous supervisor integrated this in a production. So we provided some feedback to the developer. So it was good to see him address some of that feedback. It's mostly UI, user experience feedback. So I actually like how it looks and how it looked before. In the first version, there's some of the functionality, some of the original app is missing, but he is working on providing updates. Yeah, so this is something I just captured this morning at my home. And this is a model from KitBash 3D. I'm a subscriber to KitBash 3D. So the latest kit is centered around filmmaking. So yeah, this is one of the big sets they provide. So I just walked through that set using my iPhone camera. So I was just using, yeah. And you can remap the space in case you don't have enough space, but you have to walk around. You can add a scale multiplier. So I was doing this in my living room. My kids were playing on that side. So I put a 16 scale. So every meter I move, it is 16 times that. So you can really explore large spaces easily. What else? Yeah, and finally, during the Blender conference, I started vibe coding few apps, and this is one of it. So this is a web app that allows me to launch Blender in different configurations. Yeah, you'll see. So Blender allows you to set up custom scripts and configuration directories so that you can have different versions or different setups of Blender with different add-ons and stuff. We use this in pipeline integration, these variables. And there's more, but yeah, during the conference, I was just vibe coding on the side. And as you can see, I can see what's available in this specific launcher, and then I can focus that particular application. So this is something I'm planning to make the foundations available through my GitHub. Maybe I'll do an announcement sometime. And that's it. That's my path. Thank you.
Okay, we're open. Who has something that they want to share? You guys don't want to share. Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Did you manage to get Teams on there?
Yeah.
Awesome. I see that. Good. Brigitte or Brigitte? Brigitte. All right. So share. No. And now share, I would say share screen. Yep. And then whatever's on your screen, we're going to see.
Okay, so,
Can you go
let
full
me, yeah. let me-
the little slide viewer shows? It must have a presenter. Right? Like a presenter. Let's see.
There it is.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, hopefully it's paused now. Let me
Yep.
rotate.
The microphone's on here. So
Thank
just
you.
stand in front of that.
Will do. Oops, wrong one. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There it is.
There.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is a little bit of an older presentation, and it's of our software development kit. But yeah, I'll just, Rick, if you want to interrupt to add anything at the end, go ahead, just in case I miss anything. So create, connect, share. This is Leenkx, our 3D software development kit for Blender. So it's just an add-on or extension. Okay, so you can create servers, apps, games, use AI, websites, and entire worlds using our visual scripting nodes for programming in Blender. Yeah, and those were a couple before. So these are just a couple of little mini games we have, but we have online games. You can connect different ways with our nodes. So let me go back, excuse me. Oops. There we go. So here's an example of some simple player mechanics. If you see, just by adding a few nodes, like a keyboard, you have the just down space selected, and you make sure that just apply some force on the Z axis, and just by that, your simple player mechanics in the game, and so forth for other movements. So here we have, this is just a simple online scene change. So just with a few nodes. So we made it so when the player contacts the cube, it's gonna change to a different scene and spawn the new scene. So these are just a few nodes we have for 3D audio in your game or in whatever scene you're using. These are a couple of WebAssembly nodes. And if you have any questions, we can go through everything after. Okay, so here's just a realistic render that we have. It's just to show you the quality we can get. It's older, but it's still good. Yeah, we'll have next time I'll have a more up-to-date presentation, but it's still interesting. You can simply make websites just with a few nodes. So you can see we have, excuse me, I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, you have create style node. You can add a bunch of CSS, add your elements, render elements. It's pretty simple actually. And really.
Okay. Maybe just say, don't allow.
Oh.
You can't.
Oh, sorry. No, I can't. Oh, it's up here. Do you mind if,
That's okay.
is it here? Don't allow.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Okay, we're good? Yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna, so here are a couple more of the HTML, CSS, JavaScript nodes that we have. We have our little text editor. You can play directly. Yeah. We usually do this together. Okay, so here's just an example of some rendered HTML that we made and just exported from through our extension in Blender. Oh, of the CSS that we had, the HTML and CSS that we had before. Okay, so
distributing your game in the browser without a server and peer-to-peer playing with your friends. So hosting it and playing it with no server. That's a lot. Directly on the website. So you can just go to, it's the more on the peer-to-peer stuff.
Okay. So yeah, here are some of our central base server nodes for creating central servers. It's pretty simple. And then here's an example of one of that central base server.
Basically put your server and your client in the same node tree. And you can put your games on your website, on your server, everything in one blend spot. You can program Blender. Wow.
Okay, here's a couple of the host server nodes, just a little example of, yeah, how we link them together. And here's some more of the client server nodes. Oh yeah, the host, and now we have the client. And then, yeah, here's some native C++, C++, JavaScript examples. Yeah, we've got to work better on our, but it's better with a little explanation. And yeah, you can make simple API requests with tokens. Just, this is a little example. So latest articles. Okay, so here's some decentral server nodes. Added torrent.
You can just use the browser to just test it without recompiling the server.
Complete peer-to-peer group chat. It's just,
The server and client, but all of this client. So basically client can be, your browser tab can be a server and a client.
at the same time. Okay, we're getting closer. So here's a couple of our visual scripting nodes. It's just to show some, oh, wait, we didn't, why is this video so long, baby? There we go. There's where you can't see it. Oh, that's disappointing. We have a lot of, there's even more now, but yeah, there's a lot of, we have a lot of different nodes. Yeah, yeah, sorry. Okay, so you code everything once and you can export to several different devices, iOS, Android, desktop. You can, yeah, code in different languages. It's really interesting. Xbox and PlayStation as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask what features, what use cases do you find your clients mostly using this function?
I can show you one of our most recent projects, but yeah, Rick can talk about a couple of those while I pull this up. Simplify.
We haven't had much like Blend Italia. They're in Italy for a while. They wanted to work together, get some developers.
They're doing some cool things there too as well, actually.
Yeah, it's not.
Answer the question, babe.
Well, if I can like, I don't know, they did the Steve Jobs.
Here, let me show it. Okay, so we built this for the MIMS Museum of Technology. It's a AI Steve Jobs. No, you guys gotta see it. It is an older version, but it's super cool. I hope you can hear. Can you hear him? No, you can't. Hold on, can you hear it? This is already this is 4 months old, but how do I put the audio so you can?
Yeah, when you share it, you have to select with sound. Otherwise, it comes through your phone.
Let me see. Oh, no, not this one. Sorry.
Yeah, the range of clients basically range from anything from a video game to a website to servers to distributed networks to dial-on. We use AI. We have our own AI stack using frameworks like Hyperlink, all sorts of features, but we do animations, the motions. It's like an engine for real-time data. And so we build the clients with SDK, and then we license the server. So it's self-share that we share.
You think? Oh,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I haven't been on Teams for a while, actually. Let me see. It should be here. Yeah, you could hear it. I can play it for you guys maybe, and let me just try and play it like this. He's quiet, but this is an older version. He has animations and emotions now. Oh, shit. No, oh, there we go. Can't hear him. Okay, maybe I can pull it off with this shit.
He's saying switch to a Mac.
So you can hear on.
I'm not though. So I'll just share it. We should be able to hear it. So this is a little bit, but
I am Steve Jobs, co-founder and former CEO of Apple Inc. My passion for design and innovation began in the late 1970s.
What led to the first development of the portable computers?
AI in back end.
Yeah, it was learning.
The first development of the portable computer was the creation of the local integrated software architecture of Lisa.
What led to the development of the first iPhone?
The development of the first iPod was a result of the need for a portable music player that could be carried around easily. It could be accessed on any device. Apple wanted to create a device that would be as convenient as a computer, but without the drawbacks of a computer, such as the need to plug it in or be connected to the internet.
So it's been a while. We're guessing a lot of, plus 4 months.
It's actually very bold, aren't they?
And so like we were mastering already in the last 2 years, small language models and being able to use local knowledge base. So we just basically use it like a search, like an interactive search. You don't want to rely on AI to say anything. So we made like a huge architecture for like filtering, encryption, and all these different guardrails systems. And then the industry just this year, last
California
month, in general, like Quinn and all these big guys, they're concentrating on these small language models. So now we have Quinn 3.5 and 3.3, they're very coherent. And with our system, we get like 30-40% better results already off the baseline. And I have really old computer, so we've been really optimizing the chip. Run the old 2080. So we have this whole stack, all in Rust, all say intensive, no pickle format, and this amazing technology. And
we can go on about research for a long time.
but yeah, that's not open source, but that's the kid that's just presenting, you can, so you were saying, how do we, and it's not all, not everyone wants to make a video game or increase the website or, so the SDK kind of covers every niche.
It's nice that you have an open source repo though, because every game you use AI to dominate this, it's handy to point it at source code and say, I want to build some code using that.
It's on.
I haven't thought that or well, sounds good. I think we should maybe make 1,000 nodes and but I don't know. I still don't know what's going on with the whole, rights and it's I'm trying using it, it's not reliable and they tune it, they break me. People try to contribute, they have AI coding, you guys spend like a few weeks is rewriting everything just because there's a lot.
Using cloud specifically. Is that
No, I don't know what if somebody contributes, it's only happened twice that I've gotten AI contributions and it's just it's better to have someone just learning and put something together because if we put something together that would be simple and it's logical. Like somebody comes trying to contribute a reasonable feature and you get like 500 lines of code and this should be 30 lines of code.
Yeah, there's a lot of AI.
You gotta end up doing it. It would be nice and help it align and contribute.
But it's actually, I was talking more about just as an end user, if I wanted to build something on the platform rather than big new manuals and then really using AI and
you don't even need notes. You can get AI, you just write the script. Nothing hacks. So the hacks compiles to C, C++, that on. So your scripts, if you have AI write them in hack, in the engine, then you have it in all platforms.
And then what I was saying is if you like make a copy, local copy of the repo, if your AI model can read the code, then it knows how to use the program. Absolutely. Versus, the chances of your information being in the training data, you don't have to rely on them.
Offline everything.
Yeah.
Steve actually is offline in the museum. He's completely offline. We can be online, but we offline. What kind of model was it based on? 3 billion? What they say? How many?
Oh, we have so like a 4 billion model to help us form like 22 billion model. And when we first started off, Steve Jobs, you think sometimes he was Steve Wozniak or we were really because those small models were like basically what was your based on? We started with the Quinn architecture, so the Quinn 2.5 and then the 3, everything had to change for getting networks and everything. So we had to rewrite everything to Rust. And we have to access to every single layer. We can jailbreak models too. It's not like it's just quite a new.
Yeah.
But if you ask me these Chinese models, Chinese people, this and that, and it gets slowly expanded. I didn't know how to test this.
That's about skipping swearing. Yeah, so I think we added 2,000 filters and pattern matches, but the models themselves turn guardrails, but the guardrails are not the ones you actually want. So you can still de-guardrail the models and then and they have your own, you can retrain your function and everything. The tooling is very expensive, but we concentrate on just all Rust, zero pickle formats. So there's these dangerous formats that actually run explode on your computers. Even converting them to safe sensitive is not safe if it runs. We got to containerize them. So the whole, that's what we'll do.
Thank you.
Okay. So we got 10 minutes left. So we hit 3:00. Yeah, bring it. Yeah, let's see it. USB-C or USB-A? Yeah. We need it. No, I got a converter.
We're using my non.
And thankfully, minutes. Let's see if they know the videos about that. Perfect. We'll get that second video out. Wow. Maybe don't slide some of that video. I'll don't do it.
Like a button. Here. I'll do USB-A. Is no matter which way you plug it in, it's the wrong way. There we go. Allow accessory to connect. I'm going to say allow.
Like 3 things only. I had to DoorDash just at 11:30 at night to make sure I had a backup because I had a feeling I could just give off. Oh, that is a lot of videos. Oh, fun. I'll put the video on later.
Is it on mine?
Let me see it.
Hold on. 225. Yeah. Okay, let's. I'm not getting a warning on embedded content. That's a good sign. Hold on. Let me do this. And is that slide 5? Oh,
Maybe.
play. Gonna go to Google Drive.
Yeah.
Okay. We just viewers fine.
I just play.
Oh.
Share.
Hey, look at that.
Like look, I just popped out here.
Yeah, so this video doesn't have any sound, but it's a little highlight of working at the Aerospace Corporation as a product designer, and I do UI and UX design, but I use Blender to prototype.
Stand here.
The art of the future. So some of this stuff shows some showcase that I showed at the Blender conference of different scenarios that we use.
Sorry, don't know if we're sharing desktop.
Oh,
Hold on, I don't think we are. Share.
I don't think there's sound.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'll just start over.
I'm gonna allow master like that. All right, bud. Whatever you can do.
All right. So on the left side, this is currently a game that we're working on for VR development. It's called Up. It's basically based on climbers going up to the hills and rescue missions. But the main issue with VR development is you have to keep it low poly. You can't do heavy models because it just crashes and a bunch of issues. So right now we're tackling that by keeping it nice and low polyed and trying to make it stylized and fun. And that's all for that one. I can't really say much else, but I just wanted to show that off. And on the right side, I'm actually working on a Mini Cooper and trying to reduce try count after I make the actual asset, plan on fixing it up. And I plan on doing a VR kind of app or game with it that allows you to go in and customize it with colors, interior designs, and just customizations. So I'm looking forward to figuring out how to go about that. And I feel like you might know some stuff with that, so I'll speak to you. And yeah, I just want to show it off. Not much else. Yeah.
Yeah. The VR game and what VR platform are you targeting?
I would probably do just Quest. That's where I'm used to working with. So I'd probably use Unreal. And
You need any testers later.
yeah, I'll send them over. I saw you in the back. This one's just a Blender I'm going to be using for the VR. It's just going to be Unreal, most likely. Well, maybe. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be opposed. Right now, I'm just wrapping up this model. It should be done in about one more day. And from there, I would just start looking into research for figuring out how to establish it. Really? It'd be fun. I really want to have people be able to customize this vehicle with colors, the interior, seats, you name it. So that's one thing I'm really trying to figure out, and would love to reach out. Huh.
Leenkx.com, and I'll upload it. You do one button, turn on VR, and it'll pop up in your messages.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Would they be able to interact with buttons, with the controls?
Left hand, right hand.
Wow, look at that.
And everything's already auto coordinated, and we have deferred rendering both sides and everything. But if you use the API, the WebXR, you use it to expand it, you use the native API.
Huh.
And we have the deep, basic, we've done like the whole renderings and
Yeah, it seems like it really accelerated the process.
which has all the VR,
Mhm.
but one script is missing on purpose because I like to see who's interested. But
I see. No, that'd be awesome. Yeah. And that's my upcoming project. So thank you guys for looking at it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let me just check online here because we do have a few people. I want to make sure. Let's see. For folks that are online, if anybody has anything to share, and now would be that time. Hey, Sean. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Just busy. That's why I'm not there.
Oh, that's okay. I'm glad you made it, regardless.
It's
Do
fun
you
to
have anything,
watch.
any show and tell to show off before we move on to other stuff?
Not really. I could show a tool that I've used recently on some projects, but I don't really have a real demo. I can just point to the website and, but
Sure. Yeah, sure. Tell us about the tool.
Sure. What am I doing? Sharing screen or something, right?
Sharing screen, yeah. Just for the rest of us. I know we're at 3, so if you need to go, we won't be offended, but we might just run a little bit over.
This will only take a second, and I don't even have to do it if you guys want to wrap it up. It's
We're okay. We've got time. You want to introduce yourself for folks in the room?
Oh, sure. I'm Sean. I'm a visual effects artist, which is why I'm not there. Projects and blah, 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 and deadlines and all that crap. Yeah, I can show on one of my recent projects, I had to put 2 characters are fighting in a room. It's a independent feature film. 2 people were fighting in a room. We had to put a portal in the wall behind them, like a magic portal, very reminiscent of Marvel stuff. And it requires a lot of rotoscoping of the people in front of where that portal goes, which once you've got the portal look figured out, the rotoscoping will take forever. You could outsource it, but then that costs more money and blah, blah, blah. But with the magic of AI, there's all these roto tools basically out there now that will do it for you. If you don't know what rotoscoping is, it's cutting things out so you can put something behind them or incorporate them into something that wasn't there. And let me share my screen. I can just show you real quick this tool I use. How do I share? Where do I share it? Oh, there.
It should say a box with an arrow pointing up.
Window. I can pick the window. Where's my
It's a very thick screen because then when you go switching windows, you don't get a black screen here.
Sure, sure. Screen. You can see this?
We can see it.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great. So this is it. It's called Roto. Ooh, I'm like trying to wheel in, but my wheel's weird. It's called RotoForge. It's for Blender. I did most of my compositing on the project in another program called Nuke. But in Blender, you just, and this is free too. This is on GitHub by this artist named Magnum VD, who also has a YouTube channel that has a few videos on how to use it. And there's 3 short ones and then 1 long one. And they're very useful. We kind of have to watch them all to get all the information, but it's such an easy tool to use. You basically bring in your footage. This is where I wish I had a little demo of it, but I don't. You bring in your footage. You draw a mask in Blender's image editor, like you just switch to mask, and then you can draw like a roto shape and draw around what you want. In this case, it would be let me turn that on off. In the case of the footage he uses in his demo, he draws it around this guy, which is basically what I did in the feature film I was working on. Drew it around the guy, and then you just basically hit go There's a few other little settings like what AI model to use or machine learning, whatever to use. And there's one in there that he tells you in a few of the videos, don't use this one. You won't get good results from it, which makes me question why did he even include it as an option, but whatever. So there's other options, and it didn't do it perfectly. Like sometimes the people's legs, like their feet or something, wouldn't be perfect, or if they started with their arms at their side and then throughout the shot their arms come out and they're reaching out to grab something, sometimes it'll mess up that arm because it wasn't there originally. But those things just now all you've got to do is roto an arm instead of a whole person. So it saves so much time. I probably used it on, I want to say 15 or 18 shots, something like that. And it worked so great. It works so great. And basically what it does is it outputs an image sequence, which is very hard to find. You can't alter, like when you go to write out, when you tell it to render this roto, it doesn't give you any options like that. So I'm actually going to, when I have time, I'm going to message the guy and be like, hey, here's some great ideas for you. But it's pretty easy to find the footage where it puts it and then copy it somewhere else and rename it something more permanent. Because I think it just called it like temp or something like that, or whatever you name the layer. But it worked great. It worked really good. Like I tried it not expecting anything and just hoping, and it knocked it out of the park. So it's a really great tool. Yeah, it's called RotoForge AI. Really great.
Anybody else use that before? Rotoscoping seems like a perfect application of AI. It's like something that's
Totally.
just so much menial effort. It's needs to be automated.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I don't want the AI to take my job away, but I want it to make all the redundant, boring stuff easy.
Sure. Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, next time I'm there in person, maybe I'll bring an actual demo of it and we can run it and you can see how, because it goes really fast too. It's really easy.
Oh, that's fun.
It's really cool.
So did you point it to an external model or something you had running locally?
You have to download a few things, I'm guessing it's like libraries or something, or
Okay.
but it's super easy, right? You bring in the add-on and it gives you, it just says basically when you're looking at the add-on, install this, click this button first, click this button second. Now you're ready to go. If you're against downloading all that kind of stuff, it may not be your cup of tea, but I was okay with it. I had so much to roto and I so badly didn't want to do it. Whatever, download whatever you can.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. See, come on up. I'm gonna share your screen. Sure. All right. It's all yours.
You know how to navigate your own computer.
All right, let's see here. I'm going to quit Blender. We're going to go into Unreal. I'm just going to show some stuff that I've been working on, talking about VR stuff. 5 years ago, I got an Epic Games Mega Grant to work on some of my IP. And I started this museum experience, but I ran out of funds. And then COVID happened. And then I was like, okay, I'll revisit it later. So I started to get more into Apple Vision Pro development. I got my headset 2 years ago, but I was really frustrated because I couldn't really use, I'm not a programmer, so I wasn't using Xcode. I was trying to use the native tools and wasn't finding that I can get anything going. I thought I just started this here. I'm not seeing it. That's weird. Hold on. There we go. Hold on. Yeah, because I've been running from the terminal. Tell you what, I'm just going to show you guys some videos because let's not do that. I'll just show you I've been posting stuff for the last couple of weeks, some updates. So what I did was I had been following this company called Polyart Games. They announced last fall that they were going to do a special fork of the engine for Vision Pro. And I was like, oh my God, I think maybe me and 5 other people in the world who are like using Vision Pro and trying to get stuff over from Unreal. So I was really excited when it finally came out 6 weeks ago. And the first thing I did was I did a quick test. So this video just shows an ad.
Digi Anywhere USB Plus is a great tool.
All right. So instead of you listening to me talk, I was going to explain real quick here. So I got the build up and running and decided to do some tests. The VR template looked great. And I later found out that Apple actually, I had some friends on the Vision Pro team. They actually helped Polyart Games with the optimization. So the results are amazing. It's like I tried doing a build last summer. I was working with some other developers and we got something to work, but the alias thing was crap and it wasn't there. And I was like, I'm not going to really be able to do anything. So when Polyart Games announced their build, we were really anxious to see what it would offer, and it really did change the game. So I was able to push some stuff over. And then what I did was after I did that first test with the VR template, I decided to then go in and just try doing it with laying out a quick scene. So what you're seeing here is me talking. I'm using the virtual desktop so I can work with my headset on, and I'm using this as my main machine. I can project a huge screen. So what you're seeing is me talking through on the white screen. But then what I did was I went in, whoops, I just hit a button and went, hold on here. What happened? Somehow I just, how do I get back to the video? I think I just hit some random button here. Go back. There we go. There we go. So this is me working at the table out in the front. I have a garage studio in the back, but I was sitting in the front. And then as I'm going through here, I'm explaining how I worked on this. And then I go into a full screen environment, the fully immersive, and I'm using my Sony DualSense controller. So I actually was able to map the game controller and got this to work. And the cool thing was they offered two different versions for the build, 554, which allows CPU light mask baking on the Mac, and then 561. So I had wanted to use light mask baking. This one here, I did not have the light mask working on the characters on the pedestals. I had to fix that because it was a USD model issue. But this was my first attempt of just getting a quick scene laid out. I think I did this in 2 hours and then just getting the controls to work. And so I was really excited to get that to work. So that was like the first test. And then I was, okay, now it's time to start laying out the real museum. And I'm just going to show you guys the latest one because that's the one that's got some of the cool stuff. So this one is the new layouts. And I've also I've been using Claude Code with on the terminal. Let me back up. What I'm doing is I decided to change up my pipeline a little bit here. So I was using this initially to lay out the scene, but then I was like, I have a powerful PC. I have a Threadripper with a 3090. I should be using that. So I was able to the same build that they posted for Mac OS, they also did a PC version. So I was able to build it out. I did a test. So I did the layout first, sent it over to the PC, and it worked. And then I was able to do some edits, and then I knew what folders and files I needed to copy back over to the Mac so I can do my deployment. So I can do the packaging on the Mac and then send it over to headset for testing. But the cool thing is, so here's the irony of this whole thing is I'm using my MetaQuest on the PC because I can't do VR preview on the Mac, but I can do it over on the PC. I'm over there testing out doing all the heavy lifting on the PC with all the GPU light masks and then sending all those files back over. So I got the pipeline working. So now it's a packaged Unreal Engine folder. The next thing I need to learn is to do the bridge between Xcode so that I can have a window come up and they'll have some stuff, but I can't pass variables over to the Unreal package right now. So I'm gonna have to do all my UI in Unreal, but I got it to work. And what I'm doing here is I'm setting up some custom sphere reflections. I've expanded the museum quite a bit now, and I'm just getting everything laid out. Then I will then go back in and optimize to keep this because it's gonna be standalone. I have to treat it as a standalone. But it's working, and the cool thing is I've got everything back and forth. So now it's just me going in and finishing up the layouts. And when I can, I will use Blender here and there to sometimes instead of going back to my, I'll just open up Blender and pop up a USD over there and do some tests for animation and then bring it back in. So this was just showing how I got a thing set up in the engine where it's based on a sphere proximity. So when you kind of get close to the character, it'll start to blink and catch your gaze. So I wanted to just test this out and see how it was working. But it looks great in the headset. It looks really crisp and clean. This is actually shot from the Quest. I hadn't sent this one over to the Mac yet, but it looks just as great on the Vision Pro, if not better than on the Quest. So it's working pretty nicely. And that's what I'm working on. And my goal is to get the museum up and running in the next month and a half now, so I can have something to show at Apple's DubDub, which I'm going to be going to the second week in June. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So just I've been a big Unreal guy for the last 5 years, and just really excited that I can now finally get something on headset because I'm not going to program it. I tried to learn a little bit of Swift, but I'm like, that's not me. I'm like a creative. I don't want to be sitting there doing that all day. So I'd rather when I was directing, I was working with people who had technical directors who could do that for me. But that's why with Claude, and I was using the AI as an assist, really, just how I can guide it to help me do something. I know the logic that I want to do, but I just need to help me write the code to get it done. That's how I'm using AI as an iterative tool. So yeah.
Big textures.
Oh, but yeah, that was all baked lighting too. So that's the reason why I wanted to do was to do all baked light. That reminded me. Have any of you guys used Simple Bake for Blender as a UV baking plugin? Someone was telling me about the other day, I'm going to try that because what I want to try doing is I did some Visual Pro environments, web environments that are basically you just load them up in the background. They work great. They're not interactive, but I know that I could export my scene out of Unreal as an FBX file and bring it into Blender and then reset up my UVs. But I did some basic tests using the cycles baking, but there's a 2 or 3 plugins, but the one Simple Bake has been recommended to me where I can create lots of bakes for big scenes. I don't know if anybody of you guys using it that.
Did you use it? Sarah, it sounds familiar. I think it's a virtual baby or something.
Next selling night member. Okay. We have an old one, but he recently updated it. It's years. People use it. And this line mapper plugin is actually amazing and it's free. They
Oh, that's one of my windows I use.
you can look up line mapper and it's sure maybe you tabs.
17,000. That's pretty popular. 5-star ratings. That's amazing. Sorry, what was the other one?
Window. You have
Okay. Let's see.
light mapper.
Yeah, mine.
Lights mapper. By who? AXELA.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
People, what they thought that. And you can read it.
Almost 800 GitHub stars.
Environment we endeavor. Oh yeah, the whole screen like that. But that was old. And I think this to me is a different branch. Might be a different branch. This is the mostly that was the old Arsenal 3.
Yep.
Okay, well, but it works standing in branches. It's not faster.
Looks like it might. Oops, sorry.
And to the left versus master. Down. Yeah, right there. I think line map one. I think it's down. 4 days ago. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I never just like that. Any dating stuff I never had. I've always been like render out to sequences for film, personally. But so now I find with the game stuff and the pre-update, I see the benefits of this because it deleted it. And that whole thing about the whole ZN, I made that in 5 minutes. And what I didn't know was in Unreal, there's a little button in there. I'm supposed to just build like it. And so I use my have a very cheap course paper. Like, oh, this is fast. That's because I was not using my computer. I finally used the computer, but okay, it's just a little bit quicker than my right. If the computer doesn't work in the long, it's not like that. Well, but the thing is, so in Unreal, you got the good backgrounds, right? And then you get all your system with all the bottom pieces. That's great. So when you do, and Unreal has their own preparedly built in. Whereas like you have the second big channel like that with a lightning, and it didn't work. So I tried doing it in my app, and we still manually relay and stuff that I'm doing, but it's a whole other scripting procedure to get all those. I just think the best about the text routes and it's a whole other thing. But
it's all automated. There's nice time I looked into the code. It's you can see it's all automated, but it basically each image does their own materials, all the materials, and the thing. It separates each model. I don't even think it does that on level of depth. I'm not sure it makes the smaller bitmaps for all the distance. Unreal Engine has none, so it does everything automatic. Level of depth, the old school level of depth, I think he does that. Yeah. So I can't use that as a quality level. And I'm actually not sure. That's why I sent you. But I do know that everything gets baked really well. And it's all automated. So it's just like a one-click thing. I'll definitely check it out again. And then obviously, but yes, I would.
Come on in. Oh, are you in here? We did. Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll wrap it up. Oh, I see. Okay.
Thank you so much.
We'll wrap it up now. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, folks, for those online, we're shutting down the meeting because we're getting kicked out of the room. So thank you everybody for joining and have a wonderful day and keep on blending. Cheers, everyone.